this your handiwork? I guess. See you in 3 hours.
Live from the deep recesses of the American psyche, where nerve endings explode into electrifying reality.
Help! Hurry! Help!
Exposing life for what it really is.
It's crazy. It's madness. I mean, people are getting ravished out there.
This is the Ed Tyll Show.
The Ed Tyll Show.
Come on, everybody, Ed Tyll, Ed Tyll. Come on, everybody, Ed Tyll.
Des Moines, but across the country, doctors and nurses are sounding the alarm.
This morning, 1 in 5 hospitals in the U.S. is facing a staffing shortage, the latest brutal statistic from the front lines in the war against COVID.
We may be superheroes, but we are not superhuman.
In Knoxville, Iowa, these nurses never expected this. The protective suits, the grueling shifts, the sealed hallway.
I've been with a couple nurses crying. You get to the end of your shift and we've done all we've done. So just the consoling of them and saying, you're a great nurse, you're doing all you can.
Created this makeshift COVID unit over the summer, hoping they never have to use it. But things have changed over the last few weeks.
They have no ICU here. Their first and only ventilator is on order.
You're right on the cusp of things going from ugly to horrible.
Well, now he's talking all across the nation. It's the Ed Tyll Show.
Wow. What a backdrop. What a context to come into. But this is where we begin today. What a great topic. What a great guest. Almost everybody that you're hearing from in all these news stories, the actuality, the audio is staggering some days. Yesterday, of course, it was a doctor who was overwhelmed. Today, you're seeing more healthcare workers all across the country in crisis. On the line with me is somebody who understands very well, as a filmmaker, as someone who's looking at society, the power of young people and their activism. Stefano, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Welcome back today.
Ed, thank you so much for having me back. It's great to be back on your show.
I love talking about potential for young people, and you have put a film together that really shows the power of this, the potential. What's the name of the film, and what's it about?
So the film's name is The Day I Had to Grow Up. The Day I Had to Grow Up, very metaphorical for the moment in time during adolescence when you realize that the world that you're living in is much more different than some of the idealism that you had as a kid. And it's about 6 vignetted stories of youth activism, all reaching different national tragedies, whether it's we have a survivor from Parkland, kids that are involved in the Sunrise Movement, and then one girl who's in the Black Lives Matter, someone who's talking about issues of her generation dealing with the student debt crisis. What you get in a lot of the political spin is propaganda, people from different sides, people arguing. But when you see this documentary, you can see them as human beings and what circumstances had to happen for them to how activism was born out of their circumstances.
Stefano DeFrey is our guest, the Ed Tyll Show, Florida Man Radio, unfiltered, unafraid. So you and Laura Pellegrini, who, by the way, is an award-winning editor as well, what do you capture from them? Can you, without giving away what people will see, what are some of the real capture moments when film is at its best? It's when things are happening and the film and the camera are trained on it. What did you capture?
Well, we captured one of the things we caught was Jeremy Ornstein being arrested outside of Nancy Pelosi's office, giving an impassioned speech about young people trying to push forward a climate crisis, their message that we're in a climate crisis. You capture that. You capture them, having a breakdown, giving personal stories of what they feel is ruminating on the surface from them. You capture the intimacy of being, so from that on sort of a public front, and then on a personal front, you capture what it's like for a girl like Taylor Nicole Turner, who's in our documentary, talking about her best friend, Helena Ramsey, who was gunned down by a former student, what it was like to know how those bullets came in, how you can lose a life at so young, to be in a place where you study, that's safe, where you play and do homework, and have that completely turn into a national crisis.
Right.
And
right.
Right in your home.
Bigger than them, all the way.
Totally
bigger than they are. Yeah.
That's right.
I love this image of the kid up against Nancy Pelosi's house. The physicality of that's very powerful. So this is what I think of when I hear such a film exists. I would like to watch it. I would like to consume this. What do you want me to get out of it? I have an appetite for this stuff. This is the kind of kid I was. But I also have controversial thoughts about this. So it's a whole amalgam for me. What would you like me to get out of it? If I'm really open to this film, what should I take in?
I think this point is a dialogue. This film is really about a dialogue, because I think when we have to address young people's concerns, I certainly didn't have the idealism when I started off on the documentary. I had lost a little bit of that, and it grew more from being with them. These kids are more progressive than I am, right? So, but how do I have a dialogue by also uplifting their voices, sharing their voices, and understanding them? How do I properly understand why they think the world is the way they think?
Right.
And that's that's really what I want the audience to come across. I would like people it's very hard in this world, but I would like moderate Democrats, moderate Republicans, progressive Democrats to look at the film and to see it, because all of them will take something from it. And instead of focusing on an ideology, the film focuses on the humanism of them as kids. So that's what I'd like to take away, that we're polarized in this country, and so a dialogue is a good place to start.
I love it. As you were ticking off the categories, I'm thinking, why not some real right-wing all the way up front also in the theater? Isn't that really where the action is? Isn't the action there with the angry, foaming opposition? And say, look, take a look at this kid. Maybe you do want to strangle him. I guess when you walk into the theater, you'd like to choke him out. So since he's not in the room and you can't choke him, what's going to happen? Sit down. How long is the film?
It's 25 minutes, just under 30 minutes.
There you go. Short film. Film.
But
Come on.
Seeing that kid, first of all, I want to just also tell your listeners, you can see it on Amazon Prime. It's got good reviews, not just on people from the far left, the far right, the moderates everywhere, but you can see it on Amazon Prime, and you can also check it out on thedaydocumentary.com, but you can just look up The Day I Had to Grow Up on Amazon Prime. But just what I wanted to say about that point, just to come back to that, is that the kid, being upset when seeing people there, I think how I would direct it, seeing a kid screaming at us, we just want to choke him out, getting upset, being upset at what he's saying, I want to also then find that kid in his quiet moments. I want to see what that kid's home life is like. I want to see what his friends like.
It's all interesting. That part is interesting, but it's not nearly as important as what they actually do with their lives. The backstory. The backstory in America is supplanting content. Backstories are for before the movie starts. The movie is what we do with our lives, not what we ponder prior to action. This is what I take from your title. The day, like everybody, what a great conversation starter title. The Day I Had to Grow Up. Everybody knows they had a day they had to grow up. You were a kid. In our neighborhood, we had a car crash with a decapitation. on the main street, on the double yellow line, two blue eyes that used to say, good morning, good morning, good morning, rolling down the street. We had to grow up that day. There was no way any kid could get around, Mom, that guy's head came off. Yeah. So those days do become who we are. What, give me some more of the breakdown of the kids here. This fantastic film. 25 minutes. How many kids will we see? I say kids. I don't mean that pejoratively. How many young people will we see in the film?
So we'll see six of them, all different backgrounds, all different parts from all different areas of America, and certainly different certain backgrounds. Sophia's from California. She's involved in the Black Lives Matter movement.
Right. Now that's a big one. That's a very big one, Stefano.
Huge.
Give me 20 seconds on this now. Is this film engaging in any of the conversation, or are we kind of looking at the gal when she's off the field? This is who she is. Or is she engaging in the dialogue of the BLM kind of platform? Because that will have an impact, I think, on people watching it. How does that come across?
You see her off the field, but you see her also she's also talking and prioritizing the BLM movement with climate change, with gun violence, with other things that are competing at the same time. What identity do I identify with the most? I mean, in the documentary, for her, she says, for her, the climate is a bigger issue. And because she goes into various reasons because of whatever her personal reasons are. Yeah. So she's contending, she's wrestling with sort of how does this list in my order of priorities of being a black woman? Right. And that's fascinating. You don't often get subjects that are that intimate that will talk to you that way. It's hard to create an environment where there's that level of vulnerability and trust. Right. And from the last time I was on your show, myself and Laura Pellegrini, we do films that we try to get as close to the bone as possible in a very human and vulnerable way. We treat our subjects in a very we treat them with a place of love. And that's the only way you're going to get something honest.
Thank you. And since Laura's not with us, what would you say her vibe or angle is into these kids? Like, both of you have to have a trust from them, and because they're opening up in front of your project. What does Laura bring to it? We kind of know you a little bit. You are. I detect by being with you now a few times on the air. You're just like an investigative journalist guy. You seem very curious, very inquisitive. You lay it all out there. Yeah, you lay it out there a little Ted Koppel, methodical, which I like. I happen to like that. But everybody's got their own thing. What's Laura's vibe on this? What is Laura? She's an award-winning creator, but what does she bring to the project? Talk about her role a little bit along with you.
She's very emotionally intelligent. And sometimes if I can miss a moment where someone is not sure if they're ready to roll the camera, she's extremely emotionally intelligent. Her sensibilities of knowing people and putting them at ease is just very strong. Right. And that's her real
that's
strength.
her gift, right? She gives them a safety zone to be who they are. Right. Then now you're getting a rich experience from them because of how she's enabled them to feel.
And she's a great listener. And you can tell when you're around her, she's a great listener. And you combine those two, my God, what a miracle.
Powerful combo. Powerful combo. All right, so we can see this right now today. People want to jump off and take a look at it.
Today,
go ahead.
Yep. You can go straight on Amazon Prime. You can type the title, The Day I Had to Grow Up. It's streaming right now on Amazon Prime. And if you want more information on the kids, you can go to thedaydocumentary.com. And that will also have a link that will take you to stream. If it's free for Prime members, check it out. We'd love to have you on board.
Do you now feel how? I'll leave it blank. You finish the documentary, it's out there, but we are in a boiling cauldron. So it looks like they have plenty to work on. If I was a kid who wanted to change the world, and I was once upon a time, I wouldn't feel bored with the agenda. So what do you feel right now that you launched this thing? Is it going to get swallowed up in a big tsunami, or do you see things changing now? Maybe a ray of hope, something possible now. How do you feel about the moment in which you release the film?
I feel much. I was on the film for 2 years, so I've seen a whole array of things basically came out of Parkland. So I've seen things move forward in terms of people's dialogue, and I've seen things also swelter to the point where people hate one another, hate each other just for having a different point of view. I have to say that all I can do is control my own world. I can only put forward a message that and films that I believe are humanistic, that cut through the spin, cut through the rhetoric, because I believe so many people don't believe political news and believe that you're just arguing from one side to the other. What I can try to do with our films, with Laura and I, are to make films that have people have a deeper understanding of who people are, why they do what they do. And I think that's a better way as a documentary to learn about people, even if we don't agree with them, than to argue. You never convince anybody by arguing. I'm an optimist by heart.
You know, you just made me think of something, and I love what you just spurred in me. You are an optimist. Here's what I got from the last 30 seconds of listening to you. Is it possible that there's really not that much hatred, that this is a convenient dividing tool for people to vent anger on, and it's always there, it's on the TV, it can be, a president, it could be a problem with a traffic light in town, but they're projecting there. I don't know that America hates. When you said it, I immediately thought to myself, could they be venting and looking this way? What do you think about that, Stefano?
I think that's a whole host of reasons that are true on that. I agree with that at 100%.
Wow.
I think it's just a vehicle. Yeah. It's a vehicle for so many frustrations that are just amalgamated onto what you call the political sphere. And I think that part of our disconnection, part of it is so much related to not being comfortable in the world and not knowing who we are, losing some of the aspects and some of the values over time that have sort of happened, and people not feeling close to part of a community and being more, divided. I think people really want to be close to each other. I just think we don't have the leaders, and we've forgotten in our relationships how to do that. We've forgotten in our relationships how to stay friends with people. If you're a vaccine person, how to stay friends, how to keep all your friends who are anti-vaxxers. If you're a person who's on the right, how do you keep all your friends on the left? That's a lesson that's to be taught, still left in the world, because what a boring life it would be to just be with people who agree with everything you said.
It's so true. And right now, again, I'm listening to you. I'm like, oh my God, I'm doing that. I'm keeping all kinds of friends from all different areas of my life at a distance, from boiling over on the stove. This one I don't mention the election. This one I don't mention the bills. There is a high wire act going on right now. If you want to keep your real relationship, if you don't want to just split up and go to your side of the field, and you want real relationships, wow. Well, you're doing something about it. I'll tell you that. Very few people are in a position to do anything about it. So God bless, right? Great work. Thank you. I'll be looking, watching, sharing, and reviewing it. Look forward to having you back. Tell Laura, congratulations on yet another piece of fine work. And thank you. What a great subject. for a Friday.
I love this conversation. I think this is like a conversation that America needs to have, and I really appreciate being on your show just because every time I'm on, we have conversations like this, and they're thought-provoking, and happy Thanksgiving to your family.
Hey, man, same to you, and look forward to the next time we chat. Take care. Oh, man, do I love that. Now, of course, you got to do with your activism whatever you wish to do. But the first thing you got to do, man, is you got to start that fire.